What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, back with another recent reads. I just reread the Dark Knight's Metal series in this beautiful Absolute Edition, so I figured I would do a review with you all. We're going to take a look at the Absolute Edition, the construction of it. We're going to look at what it collects. I'm going to talk about the story as well as I can. It's not really a story that's easy for me to review and break down. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack, but I'm going to do my best anyway. And at the end, I'll give you my final thoughts on this Absolute Edition. I did pick this up from organicpricebooks.com. Make sure to hit them up for all your collected edition needs. If you use code GEMMINT at checkout, it'll save you $2, so might as well. With that being said, let's get into some overhead shots. All right, here we go. And as you can see, we have that kind of metal graded look for the slipcase. I really like how they've been going out of their way to do these like textured, unique designs, like with the Swamp Thing Absolute. So Absolute Dark Knight's metal, and it's got a textured feel to it. It's heavy. It feels like it's a big slab of metal. $125. Spine of the dust jacket. Did we see the other side? Yeah, we did. Okay. So, like most Absolute editions, you do have a dust jacket on here, and it's got this metal foil background as well. You've got the Justice League on the front. We saw the spine. Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo. Then we have that Virgin cover on the back. On the inside of the dust jacket, you have all those different Batman logos from those different distorted versions of Batman, and a biography on the creative team. And then the actual hardcover itself has the Justice League, a sketch on it with that metallic shine. Here is the dust jacket of the actual book. Same image on the back. So the inside, you have that same graded metal. Going into some more cover pages. Here we have all the credits. A Scott Snyder forward from February of 2018, talking about how, you know, it's always cool to hate on events and nobody likes events, but then when you think about it, like, events are the things that you and your friends talk about, talking about Secret Wars and Infinity Gauntlet and things of that nature. So pretty cool forward by Scott Snyder. It collects Justice League 1 through 6, and then there are only 2 other tie-ins, so we'll get into that. Here's the cover for issue 1, the Virgin cover. I like how the Justice League hand makes up the metal logo here. So this story is told through the journal of Hawkman, right? So Hawkman is telling the story, and it goes way back 50,000 years in the past, talking about the tribes of bats and of birds. So that's where this story starts, and it gets into the metal stuff. So you know the ninth metal, the 8th metal, and then later in the book we have the 10th metal. So in the beginning of the story here, Batman is playing something very close to the chest. He's been investigating something that's starting to come to the forefront, but he's still not really sure on how to handle it. So, like I said, he's keeping quiet. It ends up having to tie in with Final Crisis and what happens at the end of Final Crisis when Batman gets sent back in time and Barbados, the Bat God, sees him and has been plotting on him ever since. So, Red Tornado, they're accusing Batman of being the door that opens up to the Dark Multiverse. So the Dark Multiverse has all these twisted versions of Batman. Batman if he became Doomsday, Batman if he became the Flash, Bryce Wayne if she became kind of the Aquaman of that Dark Multiverse. And the storytelling goes really deep on how the Dark Multiverse is created. And what they do here is tie things in with Sandman. So this is Daniel, not Morpheus, which picks up where the Sandman comics leave off. Daniel becomes Morpheus, or becomes Sandman, I should say. And it was kind of a big deal for DC during this time because they brought Watchmen and they brought the Sandman into the regular DC comics lore. Some people didn't like it. I thought it was pretty cool. And that's like the big hook at the end of issue 1, jumping into issue 2 as we see the cover there. So something is happening. They're seeing all these bat symbols light up all over the planet. This is a big chase scene. You have like these decoy Batmans, and Damian is trying to help Batman buy some time before the Justice League can find him. So it's pretty cool showing how, you know, Batman has a contingency plan for all the Justice League members. He knows how to get away from all of them, even tricking Superman. As we see here, Superman figures it out and punches a hole through Clayface. Giving Star Wars right here. So here's where we get the Robin Crows, the Batman Who Laughs lackeys, and the first time that we see these distorted versions of Batman, you have the Dawnbreaker, which is like the Green Lantern version. The Flash version is the Red Death. The Merciless is if he was the God of War, Ares, kind of the Wonder Woman version. Of course, the Batman Who Laughs. The Murder Machine is Bruce Wayne becoming Cyborg. The Doomsday character, the Devastator, and then, like I said, the Drowned, which is Bryce Wayne as that version of Aquaman. So now we're introduced to Barbados. We're introduced into these nightmarish versions of Batman, of Bruce Wayne, and very Matrix style here. What it doesn't really show you enough in the main story is Superman and Batman being trapped here, being stuck in this dreamlike state for decades, living in a dream world as it's powering this big battery in Metropolis, powering the Dark Army. We got these Joker dragons running around, and you're going to see a lot of stuff that Prime One Studio has adapted into statue form. The Batman Who Laughs, he's kind of the right-man hand to Barbados here. And Barbados, he was supposed to be the dragon, the watcher over all of these negative thoughts and these dark earths that were being birthed in these dark universes. You have the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, and he's supposed to be the dragon, keeping watch and kind of keeping that balance. But he watches from afar, and when he sees Bruce Wayne in the past, like I said, at the end of the events of Final Crisis, he wants to see everything burn for whatever reason, right? So he breaks bad. He lets those dark multiverses blossom, and that's where we have all these nightmarish versions. Now, there's a lot of situations here where our heroes think that they've got the answer. Superman thinks he knows how to free Batman, but it ends up being a trap. That's how they both get stuck in this battery of sorts. Batman Lost is one of the two tie-ins that are collected into this Absolute Edition. So this is like an old version of Bruce Wayne with his granddaughter on his lap, and she's asking him to tell a story. So he's telling this story of the Golden Age Batman, one of his first like detective crimes that he's investigating, and these parallels with the birds flying through the window. But as he's telling this story, he's realizing that he's really trying to tell another story, and that he's really in this dreamlike state in that battery. And it gets kind of creepy how it's exposed that none of that is real. That's not his real granddaughter. That's not even really him as an old man sitting there. So Batman is lost. He's lost in his mind, and he's literally lost in the dark multiverse. He can't break free. And I feel like the main story doesn't really build that up enough. You really need to read all the tie-ins to feel him being trapped and feel him being gone for a while, because from issue 1 to 2, he's already, in that situation and has aged 30 years. So you can see the granddaughter now is really just some kind of nightmarish monster. And Scott Snyder really does a lot of storytelling here with birds and bats and correlating that to the Robins and the Bat family. And it's very much a story of like having faith in yourself and faith in your friends. That's kind of like the underlying thing here. So Death Metal 4, here's the cover. You've got the Sandman on the cover as well. Again, this is Batman as this old version, realizing that these are not really versions of Clark Kent as Batman or Lex Luthor or even the Superman Blue. Flashing over to Wonder Woman and Dr. Fate. So they break off in teams to go to different areas to try to find the ninth metal. They go to the Rock of Eternity, which is the center of the multiverse. Then you have Green Lantern. He goes out into space, trying to find ninth metal in one of those locations. He goes there with Mr. Terrific. Batman and Superman are together. They finally call on Sandman and have a meeting with him. Wonder Woman and Dr. Fate are also with Kendra, who is really Hawkgirl. She goes through a little bit of a transformation right here, becoming Lady Blackhawk, but it'll take Wonder Woman and her lasso of truth to bring her back to being Hawkgirl again. Here is the real Carter Hall Hawkman. He's been transformed into the new dragon, replacing Barbados and trying to prevent the heroes stopping what they have in store. Here's the cover for Metal number 5. Here's Barbados. The stuff with Carter Hall is pretty dope. He's this huge, monstrous gatekeeper, if you will. Martian Manhunter here to save Hal Jordan and Mr. Terrific. They get locked up on the Thanagarian planet. It's one of the planets. It was a whole thing where it was something that Green Lantern was unaware of, coordinates that can change. Here we have Wonder Woman. So she finds Hawkman's mace, which is made of ninth metal. So the metals are really the key to everything. the metals and the frequency. Music plays a big part in this, which is really setting up the whole death metal storyline that would come next. It's cool how we get a little vision of like the evil versions of Wonder Woman as well, just like we saw those other versions of Superman. So this is the other tie-in that's included with here. It's the Dark Knights Rising, the Wild Hunt issue #1. Now this focuses around Detective Chimp. And it's funny, the beginning, he's talking about playing notes in the D and the C, and even though he can't really form thoughts, he's just a primate at this time. There's something with those chords, and that's something that was introduced early on the run, D and C, and it's something that Batman and Superman have together as kind of like an SOS call that they're able to call out to each other. Some more dope Capullo artwork with all of our evil versions of Batman, with Barbados again, having to do with music and the anti-music. So that's where the whole Dark Knight's death metal comes into play as well, right? So music is one of the keys here. Another nice double page spread with Raven and the Flash from Teen Titans. This was a dope scene with the Red Death being turned into the reverse Red Death, which makes him good. It actually turns Bruce Wayne into Barry Allen. And Prime One Studio did a variant of the Red Death statue with this gold version. Great Batman Who Laughs artwork right here. So that's the thing with the Absolute editions. I mean, you're going to get these oversized pages full with beautiful artwork. So it's really dense storytelling with the multiverse, and there's 52 universes within the multiverse, 52 Earths. But what we get here are heroes from the 53rd multiverse or 53rd universe to come help the heroes who at this point have failed. Jumping into the last issue here of Dark Knight's Metal, issue 6, Batman riding the Joker Dragon, which is another statue that Prime One Studio made. Heavy Spawn vibes on the Barbados design, right? So the last big battle with the Dark Army versus our heroes. They're trying to hold them off as much as they can. Plastic Man, who was a conduit of sorts, he was this egg which was trying to be bartered with Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific to get the Ninth Metal from that Thanagarian planet. Here we have like the heroes from the 53rd universe. You have like the Jim Lee or Frank Miller version of Batman. I couldn't tell which one they were trying to go with. I guess it's supposed to be the Dark Knight Rises Batman. Now this is like the big climax here. They get the 10th metal, so above the 9th metal, which gives them this special armor. It has magical properties, and it kind of reminds me of all those old school Batman movies. Like once they get the new suit, they're strong enough to defeat the enemies and ride the Joker Dragon and create batarangs out of light and hit their allies with them, giving them powers. So that's kind of what the 10th metal does. It allows the user to have, magical powers and pass those on to whoever they wish. Wouldn't be an Absolute edition without that ribbon bookmark. We finally talked Carter Hall into remembering who he was for him to battle Barbados. So the big Clash of the Titans scene here at the end. Batman Who Laughs had the Monitor held hostage here, was supposed to take the brain of the Anti-Monitor to combine that with the Ninth Metal to destroy all the multiverse. So what does Batman have to do to defeat the Batman Who Laughs? He has to join forces with an unlikely ally to really throw the Batman Who Laughs off of his game by working with the Joker. The Joker doesn't want anybody else to kill Batman. I mean, that's going to ruin the Joker's fun, right? So him and Batman team up to fight up against the Batman Who Laughs. Now all the Justice League has the 10th metal, and the 10th metal basically is able to grab the light of everybody on every planet to combat the darkness. Now here's the Source Wall. The Source Wall is the edge of the multiverse. The Rock of Eternity is the center. You have the 52 multiverses, and then you have the Source Wall with the hand that comes from beyond. So here we're into the epilogue now. The heroes defeated Barbados and the Batman Who Laughs. But Bruce Wayne has realized that they've broken the Source Wall, and whatever's beyond that could now potentially come to Earth and threaten their universe and the whole multiverse. So it's basically like, look, let's all enjoy tonight, but tomorrow it might go down. And then that's what will end up leading into Dark Knight's death metal. So I know I'm not the best at explaining this. It is definitely a dense story. It kind of relies on a lot of prior knowledge of crisis events, and you really don't get the full story in this Absolute edition. I feel like you need all those tie-ins to really feel the weight of the consequences that happen here. You have a nice variant cover gallery at the end with this oversized artwork. You have artwork here by Jim Lee and Scott Williams. Some more from them here. More Jim Lee. Then we have Andy Kubert. Beautiful artwork here. More Andy Kubert art. Then we have John Romita Jr. here on the left and on the right. John Romita Jr., Tony S. Daniel with Tomei Mori. Then we get into the Francisco Mattina covers, which are crazy. I think I have this one here. The Mattina stuff is nuts. Then you have the Gabriel Del Otto with his canvas painted art. The Red Death. That's the exact pose that Prime One used for their statue. This is the armor that they used for the Batman vs. Joker Dragon. Cliff Chang artwork. Tyler Kirkham with Tomei Mori. Got Joe Benitez here. This is Eric Basaldua. Simon Bisley. Tim Bradstreet art. Dustin Nguyen. Neil Adams here. Nice Trinity by Michael Turner. Got a beautiful Greg Horn cover here. Harley Who Laughs. Then you have character designs in the back here. The Red Death, like all these, characters that I talked about. Like, they don't even have the Grim Knight. That was in the Batman Who Laughs miniseries. Here's kind of a sketch to color of cover 1, and then this is the entire first issue with just the pencil art. So that's pretty cool to see. So that's collected as bonus material in the back. And that's what is collected in this Absolute. This video is brought to you by ThatSpidermanBooth.com. That Spider-Man Booth is now doing subscription boxes, and they have some great exclusives for the month of December. They got a Ninja Funk Issue 2 Secret Christmas cover. It's an Alex Cormack exclusive with concept art by JPG himself and Molly Wood. They did 250 regulars, 100 foils, and there's a 1 out of 1 medal. Cover has not been revealed yet. Also, we'll include an Alpha Betas one. Same cover artist, Alex Cormack, who has that Rick and Morty style. Another concept by JPG McFly, which they made 600 regulars, 100 foils, and another 1 out of 1 medal. Make sure to visit ThatSpidermanBooth.com and subscribe to their subscription box. All right, guys, there we go. So a little bit of a struggle trying to break down Scott Snyder's epic, and honestly, I think it's a little difficult to really tell this story in just the Absolute. I feel like the omnibus is the way to go here because there's so much storytelling that happens outside of the 6-issue series. I mean, look, they had to include 2 one-shots, and honestly, I don't think that was enough. You really aren't getting the full story here. You're just getting it at high level. So the Absolute is a beautiful book. The slipcase is awesome. The artwork is in this huge oversized format. It's a well-constructed book, but if you had to choose between one or the other, I think you gotta go with the upcoming omnibus. This is cool, but you feel lost reading it. I've read all the tie-ins and this story in single issues. I just reread it, and I still feel like it was going at breakneck speed. Too much was happening in too little amount of issues for it to really resonate with me, if that makes sense. Let me know what you guys think about the Absolute Edition in the comments down below. Is it worth it to you? Can you get by with just the main story, or are you gonna hold out for the omnibus, or like me, just get both? Either way, I appreciate you guys watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace.